Hey guys, hope you are all having a great morning. Today we are going to go over what I think might be a crucial player that could potentially play a role in the next market crash. Tether, a cryptocurrency that is backed by the equivalent amount of a US dollar, making it a stable coin, is consistently finding itself in controversies, to the point where even the Department of Justice has reportedly investigated them for possible bank fraud. The recent events that took place this past Saturday on December 4th when the crypto markets tumbled showed Tether acting weird, and new evidence has been added to suggest this is in fact the biggest fraudulent piece of blockchain technology that, if exposed in current times, will inevitably crash the crypto market, which will most likely crash the stock market as well. As you know, I am a big proponent on that market crash being the best and biggest potential catalysts that would allow GameStop, AMC and all other meme stocks to squeeze. Tether is a huge risk for market makers because it is simply the biggest scheme of all time. Today I hope to shine some light into what I mean by all this, the role Tether plays in the crypto market and why it holds key to unleashing the mother of all squeezes. Keep in mind though, Tether is not the only thing that could set off the squeeze, it is just an additive force that could result in a market crash, which in my opinion is one of the three risks that threaten shorters, with the other two being time since people will continue to DRS shares, and once we are able to prove that indeed we have more than what markets issued, there will be an investigation into the matter, and the other being a possible NFT coming from GameStop. Let's talk about Tether, why you can't trust it and why it is one of the golden keys to the biggest transfer of wealth the world has ever seen. Before we start, let me quickly state that I am not a financial advisor, and that all content discussed in this channel is simply information gathered that I deem important for people to know, so that they can make informed decisions. All efforts are aimed to better understand the nature of the current market in anticipation of the greatest squeeze in financial history. Let's get started. Let us begin with some of the basic principles and definitions. Tether is a controversial cryptocurrency with tokens issued by Tether Limited, which is controlled by the owners of Bitfinex. Tether Limit has claimed that each token was backed by $1, at least in the beginning. This made Tether a stable coin. A stable coin is a cryptocurrency that attempts to peg their market value to some external reference, like a reserve asset such as the US dollar or gold. In March of 2019, Tether changed the backing of Tether to also include loans to affiliate companies. Tether has been subject to some pretty big lawsuits, including one by the New York Attorney General for using funds to cover up $850 million in missing funds. The investigation found that the operator of Tether and Bitfinex, iFinex, made up lies in statements in regards to the real backing of Tether and about the movement of hundreds of millions of dollars. The Attorney General stated that Tether's claims that virtual currency was fully backed by the American dollar at all times was an outright lie. Tether's status as a stable coin exists because it was originally designed to always be worth $1, and that it would maintain $1 in reserves for each Tether issued. Tether Limited, however, has been making a bigger case in recent years that the owners of Tether technically have no contractual right, legal claim or guarantee that Tethers will be redeemed or exchanged for dollars, but this has been also proven as a lie. In April of 2019, Tether Limited's lawyer asserted that each Tether was backed by 74 cents in cash and equivalents, but on May of 2021, Tether published a report showing that only 2.9% of Tether was backed by cash, with an astounding 65% backed by a commercial paper, which is short-term unsecured promissory notes issued by companies. Every single time Tether Limited has been forced into saying how much of Tether is backed by the dollar, the amount continues to fall, which has big implications because it implies that the value of Tether is growing more and more on loans to affiliate companies. If you are starting to wonder why any of this is legal, keep in mind that huge series we made last week. There is still a huge lack of regulation, so this falls on a huge loophole that allows Tether Limited the ability to stretch out and have more room to scam. The SEC has been playing really nice with Tether Limited for far too long, for reasons I can only speculate but would actually bet are right. They should have forced their CEO to give consent to an independent audit and full investigation, which would end the scheme right away, but they are being too weirdly lenient. Since 2018, the SEC has simply requested them to provide a full audit showing where the dollar and paper backings are, but as you might imagine, Tether Limited has not done so, because they are most likely afraid of what will happen. This is the same thing that happened with Bernie Madoff, a huge Ponzi scheme, that Tether accounted for over $60 billion this year, so the scale of this is much bigger. What really compounds this problem, and pay attention to this, is that the company plays a huge role in manipulating the price of Bitcoin. Last week we talked about crypto every morning and the huge role manipulation has on the assets. Back in 2018, federal prosecutors began investigating Tether because there was enough compelling evidence of price manipulation of Bitcoin. In 2019, Tether starts surpassing Bitcoin in trading volume, and then as of October 2021, there are over 69 billion Tethers. When you chart Bitcoin price to the creation of Tethers, you will see that the price increase of Bitcoin is directly correlated to Tether creations. This is huge, because it would imply they are simply pumping Bitcoins. Any company worth their money would have already come out publicly with their holdings and backing, but Tether Limited has somehow evaded regulatory oversight and requirements, what little there are, and still to this date we don't know what they are really backed by. What we do know is that Tether creation is correlated with big Bitcoin price jumps, that every year the amount of backing by the dollar decreases, and that Tether becomes more obscure. So now that we have a good standing on what Tether is and their very controversial past, let's take a closer look into what happened this past Saturday on December 4th. Cryptocurrencies all fell following a huge slump from Bitcoin. Since Tether is so big, many people were watching it closely, and apparently, the creator of Tether minted about $1.5 billion worth of Tether out of nowhere. In the documents provided, there was no source from where the money came from. All we know is that it just suddenly appeared out of thin air. Here's where it gets crazier. Like I said, in April of 2019 Tether Limited said 74% of Tether was backed by cash and cash equivalents. In 2021, Tether was revealed to be backed by cash for only 2.9%. Now, as a mental exercise, out of these $1.5 billion worth of Tether that just magically appeared, do you think is backed by cash? I'll give you a second. I am putting the ballpark between 0 and 0. So here is where the real problem lies with Tether, and I need you guys to pay serious attention for the next couple of minutes. People tend to say they will simply skip out on holding Tether, or that it's only Tether so it's not a big deal. To those people, I need you to sit down. Tether is essentially scam money, the equivalent of naked shares, a counterfeit money scam that is being used to buy other cryptos, such as Bitcoin. Tether is simply fake money to pump other cryptos to the moon, which means that the more there is of Tether, the less real valuation there is for other cryptos. It means that Bitcoin is not worth $60,000, not even close. The price of every crypto has been pumped to the moon by some slimy scammer printing literally fake dollars as Tethers and driving it into the market. As I told you, $1.5 billion worth of Tether were literally made up out of thin air. This is huge and really bad. We normies are buying cryptos for prices that are too high, but guess who else has been caught in this scheme? No other than Wall Street, who continues to state they are going to buy more and more Bitcoin and other cryptos. And you want to know what is ever scarier? There are now a lot of ETFs following Bitcoin and other cryptos as well, which means the stock market is slowly integrating cryptos as part of it. This means that the risk exposure the stock market has for crypto is already in the trillions and trillions of dollars. What happens when Tether gets exposed as a fraudulent lie? If Tether is a stable coin, and it follows Bitcoin and can manipulate it so easily in other stocks, you can bet your sweet savings that Bitcoin is going to crash, and not like what we saw this Saturday. I am talking back to single digits in the thousands, if not back down to the hundreds of dollars. Cryptocurrencies are in a bubble, and this bubble will burst just like the dot-com bubble did. When it bursts, the more exposure Wall Street has to it, and hence the stock market, which continues to grow by the month, the bigger the fall. It's why I tell you guys the next market crash is not going to be just ugly, it's going to be fundamentally disastrous to proportions never seen before. Other market crashes did not have digital assets, or having trillions of dollars of assets worth pennies, or stocks shorted well beyond the market capitalization of all the biggest banks combined. This is not just a fall, it's a reset, so be sure to guard you tendies because the moon will come, but the shake you are about to experience on launch day is going to be insane. Tether is a huge scam being used to pump prices for Bitcoin and other big cryptos so that the people behind it can then cash out on these stocks and buy other secure assets because even they know this scheme will come to an end. Funny enough, there has been a lot of documentation lately showing Tether has a lot of exposure to the Chinese real estate too through bonds, and knowing how Evergrande and others are doing as of late go to show exactly how screwed the entire crypto market and by affiliation, the entire stock market and worldwide economy is. Everything is built on paper and the weight of fraudulent and benevolent criminality is causing a huge dent on all there is, so be sure to secure your wealth and future in the most secure investment or mattress you can find. I found mine in meme stocks, what about you? I hope to have given you guys some perspective, to have inspired the growth of some wrinkles, but the sad story is that I won't know unless you tell me so in the comments, so don't be shy and give me your thoughts and opinions into this video. Did it make sense? Do you now understand the role the crypto market has with GameStop and AMC? Do you feel satisfied with the way I approached and covered this topic? I won't know unless you tell me so. That's all I have for this morning video. Thank you so much for watching. If you want to support this channel, I have a Patreon link in the description as well as some one-time donation links for Cash App and PayPal. Thank you again for being a part of this channel. I will continue striving for better content. Hope you keep having a great day, and I hope to see you later today on the recap video. Until then, keep on buying the dip and to the moon.